Good morning. I'm brunching with Mom.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Oh, there's a fuzzy Frenchman here too.
Hi, Fabian.
I had a realization today that's probably most pertinent to the two of you. So if you don't mind, I will mention it now. It is two parts, and it is around the issue that we've discussed many times, which is library. So the first part that struck me is that a library is something you should curate. You should be able to add something to it. It shouldn't be too automatic, because then it just becomes a trace, a big pile of everything you've seen. And then taking away stuff that you're not really interested in can become a chore. So that's the first one. If because I've been going through a lot of how to present PDFs in a readable way, which is a real challenge because they're often formatted horribly, but there we are. Looked at the keywords and other connections, and it's usually a gimmick. I had lunch with a friend today, Phil Gooch from Scholarcy, and he really knows a lot about AI and how to parse documents, how to read them, get the metadata, all of that. And we talked about what you said, Fabian, to have the language models downloaded on the system, which is something I will try to do. And he's saying that what he's tested so far is not very good at summaries. However, they're good at answering questions. So then we talked about why not let the user set up a little script with specific prompts so that if there's an interesting PDF, it opens it and it asks questions such as, what is the conclusion? Who wrote this? Whatever it might be for your field, but you yourself define these. Of course, we'll have a default. So that was interesting. So here's the key things after you add these yourself, so it's not automatic. Picture this workflow. You're reading a document and it's interesting. So you select a pertinent sentence. Maybe it's part of the abstract, maybe the whole abstract, but something that to you is meaningful. You command L for library, then opens a dialog where all the visual meta is taken from this document, of course. So it has the author name, the title, all that stuff is there automatically, plus your selected sentence as kind of the highlights. And then it does a basic AI that we just discussed, keywords, main points, and so on. So in effect, it looks a lot like the rolling journal that we have. So each entry takes a bit of space. Of course, you can do this also for a book, but that's another extension. But here's the key thing. When this is listed, you can then have your own keywords in front, so you can do instant searches across just like you can with the themes in the rolling journal. And finally, something for Fabian, this should be stored internally as an XML file, which should be really easily accessible for the user. So that XML should then be instantly available for any other environment the user wants to enter. Cheers. So isn't that exciting? Number one, it's not fully automatic. You only put books or documents that you really like into a library, not bullshit. Number two, easy searching stuff that we already have. But number three, XML, so that, Fabian, in your space, I should be able to enter it, and through an easy connection, XML, JSON, I don't care. Whatever suits you, because anything can be converted, right? Click, click, I've got access to completely different views.
To try.
Could try.
Yeah, to try. It's hard to project, but that is. And the format doesn't indeed matter so much. JSON, XML, whatever. As long as it can be parsed and either converted and used, that's fine.
Yeah, because the thing that I find again and again is, because also Phil, he really knows. By the way, it's a shame you can't come here on the third, Fabian, because he will be here, and I think you guys would have had a fantastic chat, but we can do that another day. But we look at some of these knowledge graphs that had little balloons that move around and stuff. I find that there's extremely little utility in those, other than maybe getting like an overview of a field. But when let's say the new proceedings of hypertext comes out, you got to look at each and every one of them. You don't have to read them in depth, but you got to look at the title and skim the abstract, and then you make a determination. Is this relevant or not? Relevant? No. If it's irrelevant, no action. if it's relevant, you should do some action to add it to your special world. And that's what got me a bit excited, especially the XML bit, because, you know, in 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks, Apple headset, yay.
That should be very exciting.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually, despite Emily not agreeing, thinking of buying 2 headsets, even though I don't have the cash. One of them, keep in the box, so in 20 years for Edgar, it'll be hopefully of real value. You know, like the original iPhone. Because, you know, he's 6 years old now. So let's say for in his 30s or 40s, he can sell this thing. It's got to be worth something when it's mint, right? I don't know.
It can be his college fund.
Shares. Yeah, I think inflation would probably outpace the value increase, but yeah, nice thinking. So that was my exciting thing today, other than working on my thesis a lot, where the key thing came up to be linearity versus non-linearity, hypertext versus academia. That whole argument was fun. How are you guys? 2 thumbs up. That's really boring, but good.
I'm
Good,
doing well.
good. Like I had some demos planned today for work, and I was a little bit annoyed because in the end they were not shown. We had a VIP visit, and I fixed some very last minute problems, but basically the process of doing the demo was not ready. Like in order to demo something, I don't know, if we go back to Apple, if you remember how Steve Jobs did the demo of the first iPhones, he had numerous ones hidden under his desk so that at least one of them would work and have battery and all that. And that's kind of the challenge of doing, I don't want to say state of the art, but actually new things, is it might indeed break and you need to find the right argument on why you cut corner and all this. And basically, if you're not prepared, like it takes a lot of preparation to look casual and to look natural. And basically here, we pushed a bit too much the envelope on doing something radically new, which I can explain a bit, but you can just imagine with a Quest Pro, you can imagine a 3D map on your desk of Europe, and then for each country, a sphere representing how many innovative startups are in that country, and then you can pinch on each of them. And then another device, an iPad Pro, an iPhone, you can see what the other person is looking at. And on top of an actual map, a physical map on a table. And that worked, but that was, you know, like 1 centimeter away from the actual physical map, little details like this. But still, I think made it usable and demonstrated the point. But that was not shown, so I was excited because last minute I managed to fix something that I did not know how to fix. But in the end, it was not shown, so I admit I'm 2 thumbs up still, but a tiny bit frustrated that some of the work was not presented. Yeah. But it's okay, it's going to be presented another time. There is no, at least it works now, mostly.
Yeah, no, this is, your wisdom with prototyping is so important because obviously the hard bit is making it all work together, which is of course infrastructure that we talk about so a lot. So it's so important to make it eminently, explicitly crystal clear that this is not the infrastructure bit, this is the nice bit. So that's cool. The way you were talking about that, I saw an exhibition this weekend at the Tate Britain, which was multi-screen setup. And if you click on this video and have it play without audio, I'll just mention it. I think it's highly relevant for you guys. So the reason I went is one of my good friends was the editor. And what you're seeing in this video is not what I saw. It's another installation, but he sent it to me because it's very representative. I didn't want to film in there. So this artist, he does all these multi-screen works of art. He's been doing it for decades. World famous in the art world, you know, let's put it that way. So I tried to explain to my friend, the editor, you know, there is such a thing as VR. You know, it shouldn't be that hard to recreate this. Of course, it's fantastic physically, you know, walking in front or behind the screens, but it should also really well work in that environment. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that it's kind of interesting. For whoever can come to the UK before the 20th of August, you can come and see it. I'll take you.
I have actually, how do you say, a cultural question, not for the UK, but for Norway. Have you been, or do you know if it's famous, the Juviet hotel? It's a hotel in the woods. I don't ever know where in Norway, and it's like on top of.
There's Ex Machina, right?
Yes, it's his feature in Ex Machina indeed.
I haven't been there, but I am very familiar with it. Yes.
Is it cliché there, or is it cool, or is it unknown? I mean, in Norway.
Oh, are you going on a romantic holiday? Since you're asking that particular way.
Actually, now that you mention it, it's more than romantic. It would be romantic for you in a nerdy kind of way. I was thinking of a workshop there, actually, or a demo day there.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm still trying to nail down the location for this year's Future of Tech Symposium. I have a few, but they want a couple of £1,000, and I'm just not ready to spend that kind of money at the moment. I think that kind of place we would need some sponsors to get money there.
Yeah, I briefly checked on the financial aspect because it looks so cool in the movie. So is it 10,000 euros a night? Is it more affordable? And from what I saw, it is not cheap, but it's also, I think it's 500 euros a night. So it's not entry level hotel, but let's say if you compare to a night in New York, San Francisco, London, it's also not completely crazy.
Do you have a website for it?
I'll look it up and put in the chat.
Okay. I have one friend from Norway who would really know these things about that. Can send him a text.
And it was also inspired, that might be more interesting also for others, because a friend of mine, I think I might have mentioned it before, he's a former architect transformed to VR game developer, and he participated 6 months ago to a workshop in a similar place in the US, like a famous house basically built in the wood. And he was saying, yeah, you're in another place, and if you're in another physical place with other people on a theme, and that theme has meaning to that place, a bit as you organized when we were in the room for the symposium, it does make it special.
Just looking at, I can send them an email later, actually, as well. Talk about the future of text and say, we have these people. But no, I wouldn't be able to get Vint for this. He wants to be in the UK this time. Anyway, but yeah, we should try to do a demo day or something there. Absolutely. Looks super cool. So we're 2 weeks away from the Apple headset. Should we try to do something before then? Fabian, the demo that you worked on for today for work, can you show it to us?
Yes, I can show. I'm trying to think about how. I can probably set it up on one of the headset and do some screen mirroring and show it. Yeah, I mean, it's not secret. Will it work? Yeah, I can definitely give a link.
I want to see it inside.
Yeah. So let me look it up.
Future Text Lab. Hello, Alan. Now that both you and David have joined, well, Fabian is trying to see if he can do a VR demo thing. I just wanted to tell you two things. Number one, let's not forget, in 2 weeks we have the Apple headset. Maybe we should at least write something amazing in preparation of that, if we can. Secondly, I had two insights for library today that I'd really like to mention to you guys. Number one, what should be in a library should be something you manually choose yourself, not just all the books you have in the whole wide world or documents that come past your desk. That's a mess. So imagine a very simple workflow where you're reading, let's start with PDF, but books could be the same thing. You're reading a PDF, you like it. You select a pertinent bit of text, maybe the abstract, do Command L for library, up comes a dialogue, everything is filled in with the author name, title, and all that good stuff, because it has visual meta, obviously. At that point, it also does an AI summary of the document. It does AI key points and AI keywords. So you get essentially a nice little page for that document. That goes into the database. So in the future, you can easily do keyword searches, you can do whatever, and of course you click on it, it opens the original document. So that was the first half. You manually choose to put it in, just like you would buy it in the store. It takes 10 seconds. The other half of it is, this is stored as XML in an easily accessible way. Maybe even a click a button to copy the current XML so that we can go in another environment and view this stuff. I think it's about time that we just make such a type of thing happen so that Fabian can take it into his world and have his crazy view of it. But if we base it on BibTeX and make it as neutral as possible, add as little of our own flavor as possible, doesn't have to be called visual meta. Let me just make that clear. It's nothing to do with that. But just a really, really accessible XML. Then when all this Apple headset and all these different worlds happen, there's actual data that people care about. Cheers. Oh no, Alan's gone again. Alan, I promised not to talk about libraries.
I like it. I think it would be really useful, especially the ability to pull it into different environments.
Yeah, we have to start making things environmental in that sense. Okay, so I'm taking the link that Fabian just sent, going to put it into our future text resource. So anybody who has a headset available should be able to click and load. Here we go. Here, post.
And I think I have a version that is not for headsets. It should work on iPad and iPhone and other places. Checking. Yeah. So it's kind of responsive. And yeah, I think if you don't have a VR headset, you can use the second link. And I think I have a version in AR for glasses, for iPhones. But I'll try to make it work on the headset to show you.
Oh, the exhibition that I mentioned, the book that comes with it, there are some AR things. You download an app and you point to a picture and suddenly it moves. Not very advanced.
Okay. So I'll share my screen. Let me know if you can see it, please.
I can't see anything, so I hope everyone else can. I'm trying to get the page.
So normally, if you see my screen, you should see the map of Europe, a couple of spheres on top of the different countries. And then if I bring my hand to one of those spheres and I pinch, I see the name of the country and the number of innovations according to the European Commission, or innovative startups, let's say. And normally, if someone else...
Wow! This is really cool.
And the map is a little bit in 3D. There is a little bit of depth based on the geography of Europe.
Am I able to move it because it's kind of in my face?
Sadly, no. You need to physically step back. You can't adjust it.
Okay, that's fine. Guys, this is super cool.
So yeah, I was saying if we pinch on one of the sphere and Frode is also there, he should see the same sphere turn into the light blue color. It's to have some shared presence, like show, oh, we're interested in this bit or that bit, but without showing hands or avatar or anything like this. because we might be in the same room, we might not.
One thing that I don't understand about VR development is it's such a great place to build a globe, as we talked about before. I'm seeing this data and it's really cool, but just seeing Europe with this level of depth map, obviously it's greatly exaggerated, but it helps me understand what's going on. It's just a million times better than looking at a flat thing. This is super cool.
And for the anecdote, also for people who don't see it, with the Quest 2 that I had, it's in black and white, but for Frode it's in color. His pass-through is in color, so I guess it looks much more integrated to the environment.
I'm doing it VR, not AR.
Oh, it should work in AR. So if you do in AR, you should see as pass-through, and you should sit roughly on top of your desk.
Okay, I'm just gonna quit and come back in then.
Yeah. Alan, also I saw your question. Typing on the Oculus sucks. So if you use hmd.link and you're on the same Wi-Fi, then you can basically paste it from your desktop, and then you don't have to. Well, I mean, you still have to type hmd.link in the browser, but after this, you can send URLs very conveniently.
All right, I have some questions and suggestions. This is one of the most exciting things I've seen in VR.
Real quick, Frode, hold on.
Yeah,
Well,
please.
just want to make sure I have that down. I have the link in my browser, and then and we don't have to do this right now, but do I type HDM link when I'm in the Oculus, and then
So
I drop the link
HMD,
into
like
the browser version of it?
HMD like a headset.link, so easy to remember. So you type this in the browser on your headset, and you type this on your desktop.
Okay,
But on your desktop, you can copy paste the URL. You have a little plus button.
I see it. Okay,
And that plus button
fantastic.
makes the URL available in the browser. It's only via Wi-Fi, so other people don't see the link. It's like a local shortener kind of.
Wonderful.
All right, this
I'll
is
plug this in, see if I can try it out.
yes, do that. It's so cool. Two things. Number one, it would be interesting to have a version that's vertical. In other words, it comes out of my physical monitor. That would be
Yeah,
it.
there was. Sorry, I comment straight away because there was. It's been flattened down, let's say, because what we did is we laser cut a map of Europe so that we had both a physical map and the virtual one on top of each other. And the physical map felt nicer on the desk rather than on the wall. But yes, it can be oriented freely.
Okay, well that then explains the next bit, which QR codes are now built into phones, so you just point and you get a URL or whatever. It would be amazing as an infrastructure if instead of all these URL stuff, you go to a website on your computer screen, it has a QR code, and the camera in your headset interprets that and loads the environment. That's feasible, right?
Actually, I don't think so. Hence the questions from Alan and the hmd.link shared is I don't think it's allowed for security reason. It might be feasible. I might try right now on the browser to see if one could do the code, but indeed that would be nice.
What would be nice?
Instead of typing a URL as you're doing and as all of us are struggling to do is just use those cameras in order to show an object like a QR code and then go to that QR code instead of.
Oh, that would be nice.
But here's the thing about QR codes. They can be anything, right? They just happen to be rectangles now. So one of my students, when I was teaching, just beyond junior student, we were doing a project for The Economist because of Tom Standage. Sorry, hang on. And what he decided to do was that in the articles in The Economist, his idea was under the article, there would be a waveform. And, that would refer to an audio version or an online, whatever it might be. The thing is, you hold your camera up and you point to that and it'll read the waveform as a link. So, there's no reason why you couldn't have a system that has the link on screen really big, but you, Fabian, not me, develop an app for the Oculus, an actual app, that job is to do character recognition. If it's a valid URL, the user has to then manually approve a link that then sends it to the browser. That would be amazing.
I'm not sure if it's feasible or not. I'll have to see. I think they really, what's feasible is, for example, when I shared the viewpoint from my headset, I connected the headset to the desktop. What I can then do is do I don't think they don't allow camera with another headset than the Quest. I imagine that's feasible, basically. But because it's locked down, I don't think they would allow it. And I imagine, for example, the Apple one will be even more locked down. So I doubt that they'll allow it. Maybe they will ship with the possibility of reading content from the camera straight away, because they already have all that on their camera application. But as is, for now, I think the position of Meta is it's too risky to give access to the developer, the cameras to the developer, as far as I know.
I mean, the thing that I do manually, take the link and put it into our website, is helpful for those in the community. So if you have Future Text Lab already opened, there is a tag that is just for these things. And if you click right now, obviously the most recent one is called Fabienne Europe. But, you know, that's like within the community kind of semi-hokey way, you know. But anyway, this, did you guys all get to see the map of Europe? In some extent.
Yes,
I saw it on the screen, but
I saw it in the browser, and it's very cool. The browser version, instead of a hand, there's this hairpin line that if you line the country sphere up to that hairpin, that's when it will trigger like Germany, 738, etc. So it's fun in a different way.
Yeah, it's good. And also, you know, we spend so much time in this community talking about VR, and a lot of things are not appropriate for VR. You know, it is its own medium. Something that is inherently spatial obviously shines like this. Oh, somebody's moving stuff. Who's doing selections?
I'm moving the screen around.
But somebody was making something blue happen. That was cool.
Yes, I was checking. Yeah, it's also challenging to show to people who are not used to it. When you show it to someone that's used to it, then you start to have a spark or a discussion, ideas. It could be like this, could be like that. But it's still, I have to be honest, it's still a little bit quirky. It's still not perfect. It's still interesting also in the sense that, yeah, it gives ideas because it's not super sleek or smooth. So it needs a bit more time to ponder and explore.
It is super sleek and smooth. Don't kid yourself. Of course, as a developer, prototype, there's lots of things you would want to tweak, but this is absolutely demoable. Just
Yeah, it's fantastic, Fabian.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. Shall we pull it prank on Brandon? I was trying to prank you, Brandel, but I couldn't think of what, like pretend that the time was up or something childish. But Fabienne has just showed something really cool. But before that, 15 seconds on something from this side. It's so simple. Realization today that a library is something you should put things in manually. It shouldn't just be everything you've ever read. Number two, all the cold interactions, blah, blah, blah. But number three, internally, it should be stored as an XML file that should be instantly available to any other system. So, you know, I'm going to try to do my end of that. But if you guys want to take the XML, and the XML should be as neutral as possible, not visual meta or anything like that. Basic BibTeX style, XMP, whatever works, should be able to open it up in your worlds, and all our documentation should be there. So that was exciting in London today. But Fabien, why don't you show him Europe?
Yes, with such a, how do you say, showcase or proper intro. So let me show you the wonderful role of European innovation.
Brendel, do you have your headset ready? Load your headset.
This one?
That'll do. And go
Oh,
to,
actually, this one.
go to whatever. Just go to Future Text Lab. On the front page at the bottom, you'll see Fabien Europe. It's the most recent post, and that has the link.
Maybe dead. Looks like it's dead.
Otherwise, I'm sharing on my screen and you should be able to see my perspective.
I don't see any screen sharing at this instant.
Oh. Okay. Well, it did work, but nobody saw anything. Now?
I see Fabien has started screen sharing. Yes.
Okay. And each sphere represents the number of innovation in that country according to the European Commission. So you see the name, the number of innovations, the size of the sphere, and a little bit of depth or altitude for the map.
Cool.
And it's networked. So if you check the same URL, you're going to see what other countries people are selecting in VR or not with the other link.
Very impressive, Fabian. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, the simplicity of
Just
it is
low battery, but I will be charging it.
very, very nice. Oh, you can have your USB-C, plugged in while you're using it. That's what I had to do recently.
Of course, the visualization
yeah,
I would
I
want to
think-
see. Of course, the visualization I'd want to see would be a 3D representation of the stacks in a library with the corresponding location of any volume that someone is searching for the library catalog entry on to light up. So that while people all around the world are searching the library catalog, I could see what their search query results are in real time.
Yeah, no, exactly. The thing though that sorry for repeating myself, but it's all Brandel's fault because you just entered. So much amazing stuff in VR and AR will happen in abstracted senses like information and libraries and so on. And I'm very excited by that. But to see it where there is a real spatial component natively, like a map, there's so much that can be done with that. And what Fabien has here is on a table because it overlaps a physically printed map of Europe, so you can touch it as well. But obviously, it also would be really nice to have it coming out of your computer screen and to be overlaid. So what we talked about briefly was it would be nice if the headset could read QR codes or parse URLs on screen. So you're looking at something, and then you can choose if you allow the camera to do it to open up the VR view.
Oh, I just thought of another crazy idea. What if you had cameras on your garden and then you could get a VR overlay to show you what rate the different plants are growing at and maybe indications of what needs to be fertilized and what needs more water. That'd be a wild AR environment for the gardener.
Say that again, please.
Well, if you were taking time-lapse photos of your garden, the
Yes.
software should be able to compare the size of the plants over time and then tell you which ones are growing faster. And maybe you could have little sensors poked around in the garden so that you could get an overlay of what areas are dry, what areas are wet, where they need fertilizer, where they don't.
I think that exists
well,
in
you know,
the drone camera world. Farmers use that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, DJI.
Interesting.
They have different infrared and different sensors for that. It's really quite cool.
Something that I've thought about a bit is being able to model the sunlight over the day and over the year in different spots, and being able to kind of run the sun back and forth over regions in order to figure out what's in shadow based on the sort of occluders in your general space, and being able to say this thing gets 6 hours of sunlight a day in the middle of summer, and this only gets 4 hours a day in such and such a time.
SketchUp can do that to an extent, right?
Can it? That would be interesting. I know SketchUp people.
Yeah, I think it can, but I don't know if it takes into account the environment. It does do the location, I think. I used to use it way back before it became the behemoth that it is now.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Time, date. Your design matters, make sustainable buildings, change the world. Certainly.
Fabian, how much code is there overlap between the AR iPhone, iPad and the AR headset versions?
I would say 99.999%.
So it's a packaging issue.
It's so well, I mean, Bundle not that specific issue, which is that for now, Safari doesn't support WebXR. So instead of directly being able to use what's used everywhere as the standard for VR and AR on the web, there is a kind of polyfill that tricks, what is it, like quick view or something like this, but it's 99.99%. It should be 100%. We're nearly there, I think. Maybe, I don't know, but we might. Should
So
be exactly.
Your European map, it would be really, really great to open it up so you can have many different variables. And also, of course, it would be fantastic to have the railways overlaid. One of the things, obviously, the EU wants is to people to move around into different countries to get to know each other. And I'm fantasizing about having a train trip with Edgar through Europe, so I'm a kind of a customer. So it would be nice to see, how do you get to Marseille? That's fine. But to be able to have data points along the way of like, oh, wow, this is a really good vineyard country. I didn't know that. Different things can be brought forth depending on your preferences magically.
I don't know if I shared it maybe 6 months ago or so, I imagine. I worked for another institution in Europe, then not in France, where they do water simulations, like when you have drought, but you